For thousands of years, we've been told the same story. Kings shaped civilization, empires bent the world to their will, generals redrew maps with blood. But what if that's wrong? What if the real rulers of history never wore crowns? What if mountains decided who survived? Rivers decided who thrived? And deserts decided who disappeared? What if geography didn't just influence civilization? What if it engineered it? The map was never passive. It was the architect. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because long before armies marched, the land had already chosen the winners. And nowhere is this more brutal than in the world's greatest natural barrier, the Sahara. Look at a map of Africa. Now remove the borders, remove the flags, remove the countries. What remains is a vast ocean of sand stretching across the continent, nearly the size of the United States. The Sahara is not just a desert. It is a wall. For thousands of years, it split Africa into two worlds. North Africa, facing the Mediterranean, connected to Europe and the Middle East. And Sub-Saharan Africa, powerful, rich, but geographically isolated. Trade was limited. Armies struggled to cross. Ideas moved slowly. Caravans passed through, yes, but at enormous cost. The desert filtered history. It controlled who interacted, who mixed, who expanded. Empires rose on both sides, but rarely together. It wasn't culture that separated them first. It was sand. But deserts don't just divide. Sometimes they protect, and protection can create something far more powerful than isolation. To see that, we move to the mountains, the Andes, stretching like a spine down South America. Massive, immovable, unforgiving. Early civilizations here weren't building on open plains. They were climbing, terracing, adapting. The Inca didn't conquer the Andes. They engineered themselves around it. High-altitude farming, road systems carved into cliffs, cities suspended between sky and stone. Isolation didn't weaken them. It refined them. The mountains forced innovation. They created a civilization that could survive where others couldn't. But here's the twist. The same mountains that protected the Inca also trapped them. When foreign forces arrived by sea, the Andes could not stop disease. Geography creates strength, but it also creates vulnerability. Now look at Asia, at the line separating India and China. Zoom out. That barrier is not political, it's geological. The Himalayas are not just mountains, they are a fortress. For thousands of years, they limited invasion, limited cultural blending, limited expansion. Civilizations on either side evolved independently. Different philosophies, different languages, different political systems, all separated by rock. But those same mountains feed the rivers, the Indus, the Ganges, the Yangtze. Glaciers melt, water flows, civilization blooms downstream. The mountains divide, but they also sustain. They decide where millions can live and where millions cannot. Water is never random. It moves with consequence. And nowhere is that more obvious than the Nile. Imagine standing in ancient Egypt. On one side, endless desert. On the other, the river, predictable, reliable, flooding every year with perfect timing, leaving behind fertile soil. The Nile didn't just allow civilization, it guaranteed it. No chaotic drought cycles, no unpredictable monsoons, just rhythm, order, stability. And stability creates hierarchy. Hierarchy creates government. Government creates empire. Ancient Egypt was not just lucky, it was geographically programmed. A narrow strip of green surrounded by desert. Easy to defend, easy to control. The river engineered one of the longest-lasting civilizations in human history. But rivers don't only create order, sometimes they create power struggles. Now look at Southeast Asia. Find a narrow stretch of water between Malaysia and Indonesia. the Strait of Malacca. It looks insignificant, just a thin blue line. But this choke point controls one of the busiest trade routes on Earth. For centuries, whoever controlled it controlled commerce between east and west, spices, silk, oil, modern shipping lanes, a narrow passage commanding global influence. Because geography concentrates power, now turn to Europe, not the countries. The coastline, jagged, fragmented, full of deep natural harbors, navigable rivers cutting inland, short distances between nations. Europe did not explore the world because of ambition alone. Its geography made it possible. Safe harbors encouraged shipbuilding. Rivers moved goods efficiently. Mountain ranges created natural borders, leading to multiple competing states instead of one empire. Competition drives innovation. Innovation drives expansion. Fragmentation created rivalry. Rivalry created exploration. And suddenly, ships crossed oceans. But they didn't leave only because they were brave. They left because their geography allowed it. Now, zoom out further. Look at the entire planet. Mountain chains, desert belts, ocean currents, wind patterns, they create climate zones. Climate zones determine agriculture. Agriculture determines population density. Population density determines military strength. Military strength determines empire. Empire redraws maps. But the first move was never political. It was geological. When we talk about world powers, we talk about leaders, policies, revolutions. But ask a harder question. Why did those leaders emerge there and not somewhere else? Why did industrialization explode in Britain? An island nation, coal deposits near waterways, natural harbors, a defensible coastline. The geography was primed. The spark only needed to land. Even modern superpowers sit on geographical advantages. Vast farmland, navigable rivers, oceans acting as buffers, resources beneath the soil. Geography does not guarantee success, but it tilts the table. If geography shaped the past, it is shaping the future. Rising sea levels, melting glaciers, shifting climate zones. The same forces that engineered ancient empires are quietly redesigning the next century. Coastal cities vulnerable, new Arctic trade routes emerging, water scarcity reshaping politics. The map is moving again, and most people are still arguing about kings. So the next time you look at a world map, don't see countries. See barriers, highways, fortresses, lifelines. Because long before flags were planted, the land had already chosen its path. Geography is not background scenery. It is the silent strategist. It doesn't shout. It doesn't campaign. It doesn't negotiate. It waits. Mountains stand. Rivers flow. Deserts expand. Civilizations adapt or vanish. History was not only written by the powerful, it was drafted by the planet. And we've been living inside its blueprint the entire time. The question is not whether geography controls civilization. The question is whether we are finally paying attention, because the map is still deciding.